Good evening. This is Mike 0, Uniform Kilo Bravo for the Wednesday Night Net. Hello and welcome to everybody. I hope you're all doing well and everything is going well wherever you may be at this evening. So, first of all, without any further ado, let's ask if there is any emergency or priority traffic that needs to come. If so, please come now. Okay, M0 UKB returning. Nice long pause there, just in case there was. Didn't hear any traffic. If there is at any stage, please just shout break, break. We will do our very, very, very best to accommodate you. Okay, well thank you everybody for turning up tonight for the Wednesday Night Net. Do appreciate it. And yeah, right, at this point I shall drop my own personal call sign of M0 UKB and I shall assume the club call sign of MX0WNN. So this is MX0WNN for Wednesday Night Net. Right, a couple of little house rules, tidbits, helpful, handy bits, whatever you want to call them. By no means a dig at anybody. Please keep the overs to under 3 minutes because we have repeaters and gateways that will time out and do nasty things if we let them go too long. If you do want to have a long one, that's absolutely fine. We encourage people to chat and talk about the topic or generally what's going on, but please just come with a nice little pause or a pip like this. MX0WNN returning. Right, when you do take a pause or a pip, or even in general, please try and put a good 3 to 5 second gap between the overs. Just allows everything to sort its digital life out, I think is the technical terminology, and have a little breather and reset. Also, when you key up, please key up, wait 1 second, then talk. Otherwise we might miss some of the glorious information you've got to share with us all, which we genuinely don't want to do. So, with that being said, that's the little bit out of the way. Tonight's topic, interesting one. Signal reports, stroke audio reports. Now this was brought about because I was playing HF yesterday, and somebody mentioned to me that I had some audio that was less than perfect, which I was fine with, but they prefixed it with, well, I really hope you don't mind me saying this. And I said, absolutely, you don't mind at all. So what I want to understand is, do you always give a signal report? The old 5x9. Is everybody always 5x9? Do you give honest signal reports? Have you ever had anybody get a bit grumpy because you've not given them a 5.9 plus 20? You've only given them a 5x5, even though their audio quality is great, but it's just a little on the quiet side. Would you like to get honest reports? There's an old adage of you can't fix something if you don't know it's broken. So would you rather know it's broken or could be improved? So yeah. We want to hear all about those questions you may have, anything like that as ever, and also generally how on earth you are doing. So yeah, that is tonight's general topic of the Wednesday Night Net. I shall just take a pause. Okay, this is MX0WNN for one final time. We are using NetLogger. You can follow along with the old blue screen and all the other bits and pieces, the AIM window, whatever you want to call it. It's all there. It's all ready for your use. Yeah, or you can just shout in and say hello. That's always fine as well. Right, okay. So without further ado, we are going to take some check-ins. As I say, we are using NetLogger, so please come slowly, phonetically and twice with your name, call sign, location, and we'll do our very best to get you in the log and get everything right. Please come now. This is MX0WNN, looking for check-ins.
Golf 7, Oscar Delta, M0 XOB, Gary in Carlisle. In the land of the Prince Bishops.
Echo 1, Golf Foxtrot Lima, 2E1 GFL.
Okay, net recognises 2E1 GFL, that's our Dennis up there in County Durham. We've got M0XOD, that's Gary, over in Cumbria, just pipped to the post by G7OCK, Brian in Crook. Okay, have I missed anybody? Is there anybody else lurking out there that would like to join in? We're a friendly bunch, we don't bite, and we welcome everybody. If so, please come now.
This is Mike 0 Tango Kilo Fox, Roy from Hexham.
Net recognises Mike 0 Tango Kilo Fox, for Roy from Hexham. You're sounding good there, Roy. I know how you're coming in tonight, but I'm not going to share it until you do. It sounds flipping amazing. So, right, okay. Without further ado, we'll go to the top, where we find our Brian. That's G7OCK. Good evening, Brian. I hope you're doing well, and yeah. So, signal reports, audio reports, constructive criticism, call it what you wish. You know, has anybody ever said, oh, you sound a bit raspy, you're overdriving a bit, back it off a smidge or whatever, or, you know, are you always 5x9 with everybody and never anything but, even though it takes them 20 attempts to get your call sign in the log, but you're still 5x9, if you know what I mean. Brian, it's over to you, G7OCK from MX0WNN.
Yeah, roger on that one, Bruce. Well, personally speaking, I'd rather have a genuine signal report than a 5x9 and be rubbish. Because as you said before, if you don't know you're not giving a good signal, you don't know how to improve it. And I'm also a big believer in not looking at the meters too much, actually using the things that fasten on the side of your heads and working out the signal report from that. And I hate to think how many times I've had oh, you're 5x9, no problem whatsoever. What's your call sign? What's your call sign? What's your call sign? Hate to think how many times that's happened. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
G7OCK from MX0WNN. Yeah, I know what you mean, Brian. Yeah, lots of times you hear this. Well, what's your call sign? Station with G70. What's the last part? Oh, right, got you. After 10 attempts. Yeah, you're 5x9. Yeah, come on, get real, folks. Yeah, I have to admit, I'm a firm believer in, you know, if you're going to ask for a signal report, you want a signal report. Or do you just want a pat on the back and, oh, you're wonderful? You know, no, let's get real here. As I say, this started because I was on 40 metres yesterday, and there was a really big Welsh station coming through. Really nice, and he was having proper sort of rag chews with people, let's call it. Or short rag chews, let's call them. And I came on, and he was having a good chat with us. And he said, I think you're getting a bit of RF in your audio, mate. I said, all right, okay. So he gave me some tell pointers. So I went away and I found the problem, and I heard he was still on about half an hour later. So I called back in, and he said, "Oh, well, I'm glad you called back." And he said, "That's like a million times better. You know, it's all gone, etc., etc." And I was really genuinely pleased, because if he hadn't told me, I'd be going. But other people are saying, "Oh yeah, your signal's brilliant, it's amazing, blah 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 blah." Well, hang on a minute. When I listened back to itself on the monitor function, I realised that I wouldn't say I was awful, but I certainly wasn't brilliant. I thought, people have been telling me I'm great. I'm thinking, I wasn't, you know. So yeah, I like to be able to fix the problem, if that makes sense. Brian, back to you, G7. No, before I go back to you, question: have you ever had anyone that's taken the hump, let's call it, for not being 5x9, Brian? Back to you from X0WNN.
I've had one or two take with hump on a few occasions because I didn't give them a 5x9 audio report. Usually the ones that winding the power up and eat a lot of spaghetti, shall we say, and they don't like bad audio reports at all, especially when they've got 10 or 15 kilowatts pushing behind it, and the fact that you're coming through on probably less than 100 watts, and they can hear every word you're saying, but they're coming through far too distorted because they're putting that much power in. Yeah, upset one or two on that one. No problem whatsoever. I might upset Dennis and all because he had a horrible echo in when he came through there. So turn down whatever you've got there, Dennis. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
G70CK from MX0WNN. Yeah, well, I was going to say, Dennis did have a bit of an echo on the back of him. I thought they threw away the mould after they made Dennis, but no, they didn't. He's got a clone. So yeah, no, I know what you mean. I had one that well and truly took the huff with us. He was having a great rag tube with us, and he was really, really happy. And he said, "Oh, what's my report?" I said, "To give you a report on the next over." And I was up on the hill, and I says, "You sound beautiful." I says, "You sound absolutely perfect, as if you're next door to me." I says, "But the meter's telling me you're hardly moving the meter." I said, "But mind, I am on the top of the hill with zero noise, blah, 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 blah." I says, "You're about a 5x1 at best." I said, "But your audio is absolutely fantastic." I got the shortest over next. I simply got 7.3. Boom, gone. He obviously didn't like not being 5x9 plus 20, Ryan. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger on that, Bruce. I don't know whether you've got a technical issue or whether you've just gone off. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
G70CK, you still receiving us? G70CK from X0WN.
Yeah, Roger Bruce, got you there now again. You disappeared and then came back. I don't know what happened. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
MX0WNN returning. Okay, right, I'll start fresh. I was just saying that Dennis did have a bit of a clone going on. I thought they'd thrown away the mould when they made him, but no, he's obviously got a clone. I don't know whether it's me or Mighty Me. I was just saying that, yeah, I had a station once when I was up on the hill, and I explained to him that I'll give you a report on your next over, blah 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 blah. Came back to him and I said, right, I said, it sounds like you sat in the arm in the seat next to me. I says, but I've got zero noise floor. I says, my ears are telling me 5x9. I says, but the actual meter is hardly moving. You maybe it's a 5x1 tops. I says, but beautiful signal, blah 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 blah. Anyway, I got the shortest over next time. I just got 7.3, boom, gone. Don't think he obviously liked that, Brian. Back to you.
Roger Bruce, there's a lot of people like that at the time. That's why I never look at the meter. I give them an actual audio report from what I'm hearing, not off what's coming out of the meter. 9 times out of 10, because I much prefer what my ears is telling me than what the meter's telling me, shall we say. Anyhow, I'll pass it back round to you, sir, and we can get on with somebody else. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
MX0WNN returning. Yet no problem. Oh, Brian, have you taken the huff because I didn't give you 5x9 plus 20? Hi. Yeah, no problem at all. We shall move on down the list, and we're going across the country. We're going to Gary. That's M0XOD. Now, you were having a punch up with Brian in the corridor as we were checking in, I have to admit. But I got you both. Don't worry. So, Gary, I hope you're doing well. And how's it going? So, audio reports, signal reports. you know, what do you like to get? Do you just want straightforward 5x9s, or do you want some reality? You know, what do? You know, do you try and engage with somebody if they say that you're not so great, you know, and understand what it is and try and put it right? Any interesting stories as well? Back to you, over to you, Gary. M0XOD from MX0WNN. Happy Wednesday.
MX0WNN, this is M0XOD. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Bruce. Not many stories for me, really, but yeah, let's start off. I've been a bit absent for the last week or so. Not very well again. It's not been great, so I'm not feeling great at the minute, but I thought I'd best drag myself on here. Kind of been working on trying to get the DMR working again after my last catastrophe with the All-Star node, which has gone in the bin because I hate it, and picked up another MMDVM board, which I actually got working yesterday, to my joy. I managed to actually connect back on using the WPSD project, which seems to actually be an updated version of PyStar, actually supported, and it was running. I just need to actually go back on the computer and jig me any tone, change the frequency over, which I really didn't fancy doing today. Sounds bad, I know, but it's been a long day. Signal reports. It's nice to get honest reports, like Brian's been saying, and that. I haven't actually had many people hang around to actually help. You just kind of get the report, and off the trot, like, and you think, oh, that's fantastic. No help whatsoever. Especially the early days with the cheaper equipment and that. You're told you're overdriving or you're too bleeding quiet, and it'd be great if someone would actually tell you what was wrong with it. But you know, you spend a bit more money and you play and fiddle and you work it out yourself. Contests are always 5.9. That really bugged me at first, and still bugs me now. It's some you've had that you can hear them perfectly, you know, and others you can't. They're overdriving or overdriven, and they just want 5.9. It's really irritating. I find that. So why do you not want the real one? Oh, it's a contest, but you can't all be 5.9 and number one, and 5.9 number two. It frustrates me, that does. No real funny stories for me. I find irritating is either, as Brian says, a lot of the higher power stations tend to overdrive, and then a lot of the others are so quiet that you're really struggling to actually hear them. That, or I'm getting too old. Bit of a thing. I was over in County Durham a couple of weeks back. I didn't realise the land of the Prince Bishops was actually a place. I just thought maybe it was something that the other fellows were coming out with. It's a bit of a joke. I kept meaning to look it up, and I really just looked it up and realised what it is. I saw a couple of signs on the way over there to the Merlin Archery Shop over in County Durham, so it was quite interesting for me. It's the first time I've ever been that way on, other than to the Freeman Hospital, but no, it was a new one for me. I said, yeah, it's the signal reports. I'll give them out when people ask for them, but other than when you're on HF, you don't tend to get a lot else on any of the other frequencies or bands. I'll hand it back to yourself, MX0WNN from M0XOD.
M0XOD from MX0WNN. Glad to hear you on, Gary. Yeah, I know what you mean. Certainly in respect of giving signal reports. Now, I have to admit, if you know that something on Echolink, for example, or on the SIP portal or something like that, yeah, okay, you're 5.9 plus 60. I'm looking at the meter now. Yeah, you're 5.9 plus 60. Yeah, that's not very helpful, really, because you kind of know what it is. But if somebody's definitely on RF, then I like to try and be helpful. Probably more so on HF, like you say. If we're just rag chewing here on 2 meters or on the multi-mode network or something like that, unless somebody sort of specifically says, hey, how is my audio? I've been playing with this. I'm coming in via a new repeater or gateway or something. I'm standing on the top of the hill with one arm in the air and one leg in the air. You know, what's it like on low power? Then yeah, I probably wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back every over on the net and say, oh yeah, your audio is absolutely fantastic through that repeater or whatever. You know, but if somebody comes through with bad audio, let's call it, or less than perfect audio, or for example, somebody that you know normally comes in with amazingly cracking audio that's absolutely fantastic all the time, for example, and they came in with some audio that was really, really different, you know, either amazingly great or bad or very hot or something like that, I would probably try and tell them and say, hey, just by the way, something's obviously going on, because they might go, oh my god, I didn't realise I flipped a button or a switch or a setting or something like that. So yeah, I would probably try and give them a little bit of a helpful poke in the right direction, if that makes sense. Gary, back over to you from MX0WNN.
M0XOD returning. Yeah, there's one certain individual springs to mind from a previous network that used to get quite frustrated with giving signal reports on repeaters and that, but sometimes it depends how far you are from the repeater. I mean, I know the repeater's job is just to repeat out at a very high or higher altitude and that, but sometimes you don't always seem to make it in or out quite as well, so it's, I don't know, that individual used to amuse me whenever he used to get like irate. There's a gentleman, I can't remember his name, he's been in a couple of times in the past couple of months or whatever. It's quite handy for when you've been breaking up yourself, Bruce, for technical issues or whatever. It's I can't remember the gentleman's name, or the call sign. I'm useless, I should take notes, I know. But yeah, it's just help with signal report would be great. I mean, if I hear like something's going wrong, or I do try a message in the background or something if the net's going funny, but yeah, I agree with the helpful signal reports are more useful than just, nothing at all. Well, hand it back to yourself, MX0WN from M0XOD.
M0XOD from MX0WNN. Yeah, that's it. You also find out as well who gives honest reports and who doesn't give honest reports, if that makes sense. Because let's be honest, there are some people out there that that just give away reports like sweeties, let's call it, if that makes sense. That everybody's always 5 by 9. Then there are other people at the other end of the scale that are unduly critical, let's call it, to be politically correct. And then there are ones in the middle that that if they give you a good report, it's genuinely good. If they give you a poor report, then it's genuinely poor. And I have to admit, that's the sort of people I like. A bit like, as I say, the Welsh station on 40 metres that genuinely gave me a proper report and was very helpful and told me why it was bad and also, try doing this. This might help you. That was absolute gold. Because now I knew at the start, not just, oh, your audio's rubbish. That doesn't help. I think you've got some RF. Try this, try that. Have a listen on the monitor function. What radio you use and what microphone you use and whatever. Trying to be genuinely helpful. That was cracking. And it consequently didn't take me long to flush out the problem. And I was genuinely thankful to the gentleman for doing it. So, yeah, there you go. Put it back to you one last time before we move on down the list. M0XOD from MX0WNN. Over to you, Gary.
M0XOD returning for one final time. Yeah, I totally agree with the helpful ones and that, and I don't know if I'm any use. It's remembering the numbers is the I won't say it's a hard part, but getting them the right way around. So the audibles the signal's good, but the audible's scratching. That you think, well, I believe now they're getting in. Like it's a bit of a funny one I find. I've got a little thing I wrote somewhere or took a copy of one of the training books and that. It's I mean, generally 9 times out of 10, the first one, the first number's generally going to be a 4 or 5 for actually getting in, isn't it? Transceivers today are that good at pulling the most quiet signal out that you don't tend to have an issue with that. I don't think it's usually the actual heard voices can be a bit horrible and scratchy and that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the S9 and what was it, 60 over, like, that massages my ego, that sounds fantastic. I'll take the wins where I get them. I'll hand it back to yourself, MX0WNN from M0XOD.
M0XOD from MX0WN, yeah. Genuinely, my meter is giving me 59 plus 60 over here, on 991A. But then again, you're on Echo Link, and the micronode is all of about 15 feet away from it. So if it,
catch that.
Siri couldn't catch that apparently. But if you weren't getting 59 plus 60 over it, I'd be a little bit concerned. Hi. Right, no problem. Gary, I'm going to break with you, and I'm going to move to the other man for the land of the Prince Bishops. That is 2E1 GFL. Now, has he got his alter ego with him that's echoing in the background? I don't know. Dennis, it's over to you. 2E1 GFL from MX0WNN.
E1 GFL picking it back up. Oh, I've put him back in his box. Slight explanation. I had the Sharry on the 400 and monitoring CD as well, and I'm using the SIP at the moment. Now I can see it is transmitting at the moment. Now normally, if there's a pile up at the start, I hadn't heard anyone, so I was called in, and I thought, that's strange. The signal isn't going up on the Sharry, which was turned down. So I dropped the SIP out, picked the microphone up on the 400, to which the volume was turned down on, called in on the 400, and lo and behold, it took me a while to turn turn the speaker down on the SIP, and that was where the echo was coming from. And I did eventually get it down to 0. I'll just take a pip. So hopefully that's the explanation. And as I say, that's the trouble you have when you're monitoring 2 or 3 things at the same time. The fingers don't work as fast as the mouth, obviously. I'll put it back round to you before I come out with any more comments. You pick it up, Bruce, from 2E1 GFL.
E1 GFL from MX0WNN. No problem there, Dennis. Yeah, we've all done that before. Particularly when you're sort of trying to keep an eye on things and one thing and another. And should we say we make the schoolboy error? Let's call it. Yeah, no, done that myself numerous times. So do you like the honest report, Dennis? Do you give the honest report, or is it easier to just give the old 5x9? Now, I'm not talking about if you're in a genuine contest, because we've talked about this once before, where in some contests you are asked not to give a signal report. The response that you're supposed to give is simply 5x9 plus serial number or grid locator or whatever it is, quite specifically, rather than actual signal report. So over to you there, 2E1 GFL MX0WNN.
MX0WNN, 2E1 GFL returning. No, I try to be as honest as I can. I was setting as I thought Brian was going to come out with. I'd been programming the 9800 before I went away last week, and I'd give Brian a call. Now, obviously, he knows what my audio is like normally. The signal strength, there was no problem, but the audio was quiet. And all we can put it down to is the microphone on the radio. I went into menus and turned it up to wide. Now I can't find anywhere online or in the menus where you can up the microphone. So I got an honest opinion from Brian, or else I wouldn't have known. As you were saying, I'll just take another pip. question you were asking before, we used to have a local operator, which, well, we still do. I haven't heard him on for a while. I won't mention any names, but he was over deviating all the time, and he wouldn't take constructive criticism. Brian will know who I'm talking about. There wasn't only me had words with him about it, but he would never have it that his radio was at fault. Now, he said he'd had good reports of everyone else that he'd spoken to, but as you were saying, I think they were just peeing up his back, just telling him what he wanted to hear. Back round to unit control from 2E1 GFL.
(2E1 GFL) from MX0WNN. Yeah, it's easy to hear the good report, let's call it, and go, oh, my audio must be amazing in that case, and I shall do nothing about it. But the other one is, if somebody tells you your audio is wrong, then I'm not going to say I'm going to immediately, if you just had 20 stations tell you it's great, genuinely tell you it's great, then you might think, okay, it could be at my end, it could be at his end, that he's not, his receiver's not receiving very well or something. But between the pair of you, something's not right at somebody's end, if that makes sense. And if enough people keep telling you that your audio is not good, then it's probably they haven't all got duff receivers. It's probably more likely that you're not transmitting so great, if that makes sense. So definitely worth having a look at. But as I say, some people like to live in la la land, I think is the technical terminology, should we call it, Dennis. Back over to you from MX0WN.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. There's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But there's also, if you don't know it's broken, you're never going to be able to fix it, are you? No, if I'm out and about or on the usual jaunts, as you know, I use Echolink or Peanut. I always go onto Parrot to find out what my audio sounds like, because different places have different connections, and then at least people are going to hear you. But as you say, I think it's best to have the honest truth and give the honest truth. At the end of the day, even if people aren't happy, at least they know. And if more than one's told them, they should do something about it. Anyway, back round to you, and I'll let you go down the list. From 2E1 GFL, in the group, in the land of the Prince Bishops.
(2E1 GFL) from MX0WNN. Yeah, no problem at all there, Dennis. You're not always going to please everybody by giving them an honest report, but hey, as you say, if you don't know it's broke, you can't fix it. So that's a pretty good one, like you say. Right, no problem. I shall let you go. I shall mosey on down the list, and we're coming a bit closer to home now. We're going to Hexham. We're going to find Roy. That's M0TKF. He's just over the hill from me. I'm waving at you, Roy. How are you doing, Roy? And it's over to you. What's your thoughts on signal reports, audio reports, etc. When people tell you your audio's duff or brilliant, or what do you do? And also, do you give the honest report? And have you ever gotten told off for it, there, Roy? M0TKF. Good evening to you, Roy, from MX0WNN.
Good evening, Bruce, and everyone else on the net from Mike Zero Tango Kilo Fox. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to jump on, but I'm accessing tonight via the SIP portal, so hopefully the audio's coming in okay. And technically, this is my first QSO from the new shack, which hasn't got any power in it yet. But I've got sort of a shed inside the garage, if it were. So that's this evening's ongoing project while I've been listening to the net. Signal reports, I think I'm the same as everybody else that's come up. I'm very relaxed, always give an honest report. If it's a contest, it is 5.9 in the serial, just for the help of logging and it's part of the contest. But if someone gives me a 5.9 and I'm probably a 5.5, I'm not too bothered. I do like to hear if there's problems, though. If my audio's a bit quiet or a bit messy, I like to get some comment back. And then equally, I'm fairly honest with people if they're coming up loud or if they sound good or whatever. I'll throw that in on the back end of the signal report and comment if I think they've got a problem, if I can hear some noise. But no, pretty relaxed. I do quite a bit of SOTA, and it's not uncommon to get like a 3-in-3 signal report, and I'm always happy to come back to them and say, I'll take that. We've made good contact with each other, and it's fine with me. But no, I haven't had any problems with giving signal reports. One thing that some of the other guys have mentioned, though, that does get people's backs up, is if they're running a bit of power and they're overdriving the system, and you're looking at them on the spectrum display and they're splattering kilohertz and kilohertz way wide. If you mention that to someone, that immediately starts a fight. So it's easier to spin the VFO and go and hide somewhere else. Back to you, Bruce. Mike X-Ray 0, Whiskey November from Mike 0 Tango Kilo Fox.
MX0WNN returning. Well, nice to hear that we're christening the new shack. Sounding good there, Roy, on the SIP phone. Sounds good. Now that's an interesting you brought up, the portable stroke mobile. Yeah, I have to admit, I do like my portable. And there are times when, you're quite happy with a 3x3, if you know what I mean. Maybe it's not running a lot of power, or the setup you've got is not optimal, shall we say. But the fact you're even making it out is good. But like you say, when you're in the main shack and you know everything's been set up for years and you ain't touched anything, and then somebody gives you a less than perfect report, you kind of think, why? But yeah, I know what you mean. To me, I don't mind so much if I'm, the difference between 5x7 and 5x9, does it really bother me? Not really. I'm more interested in the sort of, let's call it the extremes. If somebody says, oh, you're 5x9 plus 20 over, or you're 5x1, those are the ones where I either think, oh, happy days, I'm doing something really right here, I've got a nice path from me to, let's say I'm going out to sort of Russia or that sort of general direction. You think, oh, it kind of tells you that obviously that's maybe where I should be concentrating my efforts this afternoon. Or if you're at the other end of the scale, that maybe I've just made it through on this path. I'm sort of urinating against the wind, to put it politely, shall we say, by trying to go any further with it, if that makes sense. That maybe I should be looking in a different avenue if I want to get bang for my buck, let's call it. But I know what you mean. I'm pretty relaxed in the middle, and obviously when it's contesting, well, yeah, it's 5x9 plus serial number or whatever the desired sort of outcome is, let's call it. I'm not a big contester. I throw away points, if you know what I mean, when it's coming for people. I'm not into contesting. Don't mind it, but I'm not going to submit logs and all that lot. I'll let other people do that. I just do it for fun. Roy, back to you, M0TKF on the SIP from MX0WNN.
This is Mike 0 Tango Kilo Fox returning. All agreed, Bruce. Comments and I think I'm perhaps similar to. I think it was Brian that mentioned. I often just give a report of how it sounds in my ears. I know I occasionally on my receive turn the RF gain down if I've got a lot of big stations that you'll be talking to. And in reality, they're plus 20. But if you turn the RF gain down and look at the meter, you know, they may be plus 7 because you turn your system down. And then you forget to turn it back up again. So technically you're giving everyone really low reports, even they're probably a lot higher if you hadn't attenuated the station. Anyway, great as always. Really interesting listening into the Wednesday Night Net, Bruce. Thanks for putting it on, and I'll get back to the project here, and hopefully the shack will be fully up and running sometime in the next few weeks, and we can move the radio gear out of the spare room into the new shack. All the best, and good evening to everyone on the net. Back to you, Bruce. Mike X-Ray 0 Whiskey November from M0 TKF.
MX0WNN returning. Yeah, no problem at all there, Roy. I know what you mean. Like, I often say, well, you sound XYZ to me, but the meter tells me this, particularly if it's something grossly different. That way they get a bit of a trouble. And like you just mentioned something as well that's really good. It depends on how you got your rig set up. If you've got a preamp on or something like that, you know, receive preamp, or you've got the RF gain turned up or down or whatever, you know, and you think, oh, hang on a minute, and then you realise and go, oh, I've been giving everybody all these sort of wrong signal reports. So there's one. Roy, good luck on the new shack, and if you want to, share some pictures. We love pictures of things. So a picture paints 1,000 words. So if you want to, post some pictures up there on the Facebook page or whatever of Roy's new shack. I'm sure it'll look fantastic. Right, Roy, I'll say 7-3 to you, and that does put us at the bottom of the list. So, folks, let's see how we're doing. Is there anybody else out there that would like to join in? Please don't be shy. Come with your name, call sign, and location, preferably slowly, phonetically, and twice, as they say. This is MX0WNN, looking for some check-ins.
Mike 7, Bravo, Yankee Delta. Mike 7, Bravo, Yankee Delta. That's Keith in Meadowfield in County Durham.
Here is Mike 0, Oscar, Mike, Tango, M0, OMT, Stuart and Jarrow.
Okay, good evening, folks. We have, in reverse order, M0 OMT, Stuart and Jarrow. Hello, Stu. And we have M7BYD, that's our Uncle Keith, over there in Meadowfield. Good evening, Keith. How are you doing? Right, Keith, we're going to you first. How are you doing? And also your thoughts on signal reports, etc., any funny stories, anecdotes, etc. It's over to you, Keith. M7BYD from MX0WNN.
MX0 Wednesday Night Net. This is M7BYD. Well, it's a cracking topic, and isn't it strange? Up until Roy joined in just now, M0 TKF, I thought to myself, yeah, I've got an answer to this one, and Roy just about said it all. So talk about stealing thunder. Not that he would know or care about that, but I absolutely have to agree with that. It can be very subjective, because one thing the S-meter doesn't do is recalibrate for our adjustments. So once you start using preamps, of which most of us have got preamp 1 or 2 or some even more, but all of that can make a difference. So are we giving an actual accurate reading that's coming in through the antenna? Well, by the time you've added or subtracted these various ways of adjusting the input, it could even be with a noise blanker, QRM eliminator or something along those lines. You're making differences to the signal. So that's the reason I say that it's subjective. Yeah, do I believe that it's important? Yes, I do actually, because as far as I'll just take a pause. Yeah, as far as the signal reports are concerned, the readability is important, and thankfully, people have been honest with me when I've had issues with my hotspot because of it sounding rather digitized, if you will. Without such feedback, I wouldn't have made the adjustments that I have. It's not perfect now by any means, but without assistance, how do you know? You can obviously use parrots. You can use various means of getting some sort of direct feedback. If you're using RF, that's more of an issue. It has to be said, but we are reliant upon help from others. So, from my point of view, this is a cracking topic, Bruce, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Back to you, Bruce. M0. I'm going to say I said M0. MX0 Wednesday Night Net from M7BYD.
M7BYD from MX0WN. Yeah, no problem at all there, Keith. And every subjective. Now, the readability, as far as I'm concerned, is the most important bit. The strength will be what the strength will be to some degree. Let's say you're standing next to the repeater and you're not making it in 5x9. I'd be a bit worried. But let's say you're on HF. I'm more worried by the bit about like the 5 at the start, or the 4, or the 3. How is my readability? That's the bit I'm really interested in. Because I'm going to argue, and this could be a contentious one, that's the bit you've got most you can do with, is the readability. If you're overdriving the mic gain or something like that, you can do something about that. You can twiddle some knobs and dials. If you're trying to get to ZL land, on 5 watts, and the conditions aren't really allowing, there's not a lot you can do really, other than shout a bit louder. But even then, there's only so much shouting you can do. So I think the readability is the biggie, should we say? And also the other one is listening to a variety of reports as well. If one person tells you that something's a little bit wrong, okay, fair enough. But if lots of people tell you it's wrong, you've got far more chance. I'm just thinking. My father, he's not an amateur, but he's listened to me whole play. He's as deaf as a post. He'd struggle to pick up this net. He'd struggle to pick up people when the 5.9 plus 60, at times, because he's as deaf as a post. Particularly if he ain't got his hearing aids turned on. But if somebody else with very acute, tuned-in, youthful ears, shall we say, they might pick somebody up a little bit better. So, you've got to take the law of averages a little bit. Keith, back to you from MX0WNN.
MX0 Wednesday Night Net and 7BYD. I totally agree with you, Bruce, and that's not just because you're my mate. It's absolutely true. And as you describe it, they can be described as amateur radio ears. We develop them. In other words, we can hear things that others can't. And I learned that from a very early age and an interest in amateur radio, or indeed radio long distance and shortwave listening. Because in radio communications, we have this ability to be able to draw things out of the QRM, not to the degree that we have QRM these days, but nonetheless, we certainly have developed that ability. And I, like you, pardon me, do think that the readability side of things, because it's actually making contact. If you've established a QSO, it's very, very nice if you've managed to get a readability 3 or 4 when you're only on a signal strength 3 or 4. That's good. but that's also dependent upon the level of QRM as well. So the QRM can take your S level up to a 9 or 9 plus, in my case, on the noise floor, and then you've just got to battle through whatever you can. So the received signal sometimes has got to be above your noise floor in order to make any decent QSOs. But yeah, this is a good topic, and I look forward to hearing people who follow me, Bruce. And thank you for inviting me onto the net. Went out doing a little bit of shopping, and so when I got in, fired the SIP portal up and popped up the blue screen and a welcome, and I appreciate it. Back to you, Bruce, and thank you again. MX0 Wednesday Night Net, back to you from M7BYD.
M7BYD from MX0WNN. Well, you mentioned there, yes, as amateurs, you kind of tune your ears in a little bit, don't you? You kind of know what to listen for. The other thing is, if it's a station that you know, you kind of tune the voice in. Now, at the start of the net, there was a bit of a pile-up and a tussle between Brian and Gary. And, you know, I know both of the voices. They don't even need to give the call signs almost. You just know the voice and know, oh, that's Gary. I think that's Brian. And so you tap the call signs in straight away and you know them. Certain things you get sort of tuned in for, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people go, what on earth are you listening to? Sort of non-amateur friends sit there and go, what? How on earth do you make that out? You know, but we do, I suppose. We it's a bit like any hobby. You kind of get you get a bit of an ear for it, let's call it, or an eye for it in inverted comments. Right, Keith, back to you one final time before we head off to Stu, who's just a little bit further north than you. M7BYD from MX0WNN.
MX0 Wednesday Night Net, M7BYD. Yeah, it's all down to having different radios as well. So you were talking of the different microphones, the different audio side of things. I'm not just talking of receiving. We're talking of TX as well. And each radio will have a different tone to it. So all of my radios, of course, I will get different signal reports from. And I appreciate the individuality of them as well. Some will have a higher pitched tone. I think between my Alinco, for the 2m70 I'm talking of now, and my D578 Anytone have a different sound to them. And I only have the one radio when on the side of things coming to the HF side. And that's the 7300, and that generally gets good reports. And I haven't changed the output. It was set there for a reason, and it hasn't been challenged, if you will, by being overdriven or being too quiet. So for that reason, I've just left it. Although I'm an avid knob twiddler, that's one thing I've left alone unless otherwise challenged. So yeah, go ahead, Bruce, and let me sit back and enjoy the remainder of the net, because it's great as always. Thanks a lot, Bruce. Take care. Back to you, MX0 Wednesday Night Net from M7BYD.
MX0WNN returning, yeah. I have to admit, yeah, I do like fiddling with things, but when it comes to your audio and getting your setup just right, once you've got it just right, I have to admit, I leave mine. I don't play with it, I don't fiddle with it, because you want to know that when you want to go and use the radio next time, you can just fire it up and go. You know, you don't want to be faffing around, let's call it, shall we say, Keith. So yeah, audio is one of the things I get right and leave it. Making out the settings, leave well alone. Unless somebody says there's a problem. So yeah, there you go. Right, Keith, say 7-3 to you. I'll let you sit back, kick back and relax. And we shall go to Stu. That's M0OMT. Good evening, Stu. Hope you're doing well. I thought you were away on your holidays, or have you just gotten back? Anyway, how's the audio, and what's your thoughts on audio, etc.? M0OMT, over to you from MX0WNN.
Yeah, MX0WNN, M0OMT. Yeah, just got back today. So I'm a little bit jet lagged, but had a lovely time in Sugar Vector 5 land. Absolutely lovely. So we'll start with HF, and then when I get my second term, we'll talk about UHF, VHF, and Echolink and everything else. Like yourself, Bruce, I have had reports of RF getting back in to the system, and I've tried all kinds, and hopefully cured it with radios from the past. I did have it turned up too high, and I guess the audio amplification was just absolutely killing it. But nice at the stage. I don't want to name anybody, but I guess it was the guys down at HubNet. You said they were having a big rag chew. I know they've got a big setup down there. So hopefully it was Peter helped you out. He's a knowledgeable chap. But yeah, like Brian says, I mean, when someone's splattering 5, 6, 7 KCs either side, and you're tuning about, and you're going, well, where the devil is he? Because his audio is so strong. It's good, but it takes you forever to find out which frequency is, because he's just too wide. It drives you up the wall. But like I say, I have had comments with little kit radios and everything, RF getting back in, and that wasn't nice to hear, but you take it on the chin. I'd rather someone did tell us that if something wasn't right, than driving the radio and absolutely ruining it for future use. Let me give you a back, Bruce. MX0WNN, M0OMT.
M0OMT from MX0WNN. Well, nice to have you back from your holidays. And yeah, I know what you mean. When it comes to HF, and you can hear them, you can see them. You know, I'm just looking at my 991 at the moment, and there's somebody on 20 meters, and whopping signal. But my goodness, the peak is wide, shall we say? Whereas there's some other signals that are big signals, but the peak is very, very narrow. And you're thinking, yeah, they've got it working right. They've got it working nice, little narrow. You know, none of this splatter. Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what. When the peak is narrow, it sounds nice as well. It actually sounds better. You know, not only is it better for you know, other occupants of the band, but it sounds nice when you're going back to them as well. I have to admit. I'll maybe find a station on my next over and see if I can loop the audio through. I don't know if I can do that, but we'll have a bash. Back to you, Stu, M0OMT from MX0WNN.
Yeah, MX0WNN, M0OMT. Yeah, no problem, Bruce. And another thing, I don't think this has been brought up. People get it the wrong way around. I don't think anybody's mentioned this. I've been listening. So hello to everybody, the Wednesday night netters. Nice to hear you all this week. People get it the wrong way around. Is that annoying? Do you understand that they have got it the wrong way around? It's got to be, hasn't it, really? You're not going to have audio 9 and a signal of 5, But if he's that wide on your band screen, he probably is audio 9. Do you know what I mean? People do get it back to front. I have heard it being given the wrong way around. You're 9 and 5, and you think, he's 9 and 5. What the devil are you talking about? What the guys have mentioned as well, VoIP. Everybody's got different equipment, especially RF. Now, different radio, different interface, different computer with a different sound card in. Now, everybody's going to be different. But there is ways of setting your audio up. All-Star, you can go into the audio mixer and you can see it. You want to be between the 3 and the 5. Wires X, the best way to set Wires X up, go to the audio. Everybody's going to say, it sets it automatically on digital. Yes, I know this. But if you put it in analog, that's where you want to be. Put it in analog. Key the mic. There's like a scope where your signal goes in between a line. You key the mic and you press the DTMF tone button number 1. And it should just creep up to the next line up and the next line down. Shouldn't go any wider than that. Let me take a pip.
2 Echo 0 Foxtrot, that's Charlie contacting GB3 Zulu November from London. Does anyone read me?
Yeah, just stand by the station down in London. We are in the middle of a net. I'm not in control of the net, but I'm sure he'd like to work your station, and I'm who's bottom of the list, so he'll be next in. The other thing, Bruce, is you hear 2 guys on Echolink, and this isn't any offence to anybody on Echolink either. 2 guys will be chatting away on Echolink, and they'll say, your audio sounds great, Yeah, when it transfers over to All-Star or some of the other systems, it's rattling through. Absolutely rattling through. And you go, is he hearing what I'm hearing? But Echolink must have some sort of auto gain control on it. So if it's Echolink to Echolink, they sound great to each other. But when you're listening on All-Star, it does your ears in. I'll give it to you, Bruce. I'll let you introduce yourself in the next station.
2 Echo 0 Foxtrot, that's Charlie calling from London, England, trying to contact Zulu November.
Yeah, 2 Echo 0 Foxtrot Delta Charlie. This is Mike X-Ray 0 Whiskey November net control. We're just in the middle of the net. Just give me 2 seconds to round off with Stu here, and then you are next on the list, sir. Yeah, Stu, I know what you mean, particularly about let's call them link systems or multi-mode systems. You know, people have got to remember that the audio comes in differently. It's a bit like, you know, analog audio versus digital, and then even within the digital modes, you know, they're not all the same. You know, and people are, you know, you're not comparing apples with apples, shall we say? So you've got to be mindful of that. Yep, Stu, no problem at all. Well, thank you very much for making way so graciously for the gentleman. Right, I'll say 7-3 you, Stu, and okay, we'll work the 2E0 Foxtrot Delta Charlie, I believe it is. Nothing coming up on QRZ, but yeah, go ahead. My name is Bruce, that's Bravo Romeo Uniform Charlie Echo. On the Wednesday night, for the Wednesday Night Net, we use the club call of MX0 Whiskey November, but my normal personal call is Mike 0 Uniform Kilo Bravo. So go ahead, sir. 2E0 Fox Delta Charlie from Mike X-Ray 0 Whiskey November.
Echo 0 Foxtrot, that's Charlie responding. Name's Mark, that's Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, calling from London. Just wanted to say hi to Scotland. How's the weather up there in Scotland, Bruce?
Good evening there, Mark, 2E0FDC from MX0WN. Well, I'm not quite in Scotland. 2 seconds, if I look out. I suspect Scotland's not bad. If I look out my window, I can probably see over the hilltops and into Scotland. And the sun appears to be shining up there, north of the border. There's a few people that I know are listening who are north of the border. I'm sure they'd like to tell us. How is life down the Big Smoke? And tonight we are on the Wednesday Night Net. It happens every Wednesday at 7:30 UK time. We started during lockdown and we kind of carried it on. We usually ask a little topic that you can talk about, and it's nothing too technical. About signal reports and audio reports. Do you give ice ones, or should it be 5x9, or what's the what's the general thoughts in your world there? 2E0FDC from MX0WNN.
That's the charge responding. It's a short response. Yeah, it sounds good, Bruce. Your signal's a bit broken. It's a bit hard to tell what you're saying. To be honest, I didn't hear you at all. Maybe it's the accent difference. But I'll move on now. I'll take one more final from you before I say 7-3 and move to another station. 2 Echo 0 Foxtrot. That's Charlie to Mike Whiskey Uniform. Mike.
Okay, no problem. 2E0FDC. This is Mike X-Ray 0 Whiskey November. Repeat, Mike X-Ray 0 Whiskey November. Hopefully I'm coming through better. Yeah, and after I've finished, I'll just ask Stu for an honest report on my audio, see if I've got any problems. So, Mark, yeah, no problem at all. We're here every Wednesday at 7:30 PM UK time. Feel free to check in. I'll say 7-3. Stu, M0OMT, how's the audio from MX0WNN?
Yeah, 0OMT. I think it's just your twang, like, kiddo. No, it's absolutely fine to me. I think he's just struggling with your accent there, Bruce. But it's loud, it's clear, it's punchy. Are you using SIP, by the way? I don't know. I'll use a lot cheating. I'm on RF. Just getting another dig in there, Bruce.
M0OMT from MX0WNN. Yeah, Bonnie lad, I'm on the SIP, and you're sounding quite good there, Mark. Don't worry. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, that accent is another one. Yeah, that can be a one. I've had that before with people. I've struggled with their accents. They've struggled with mine. As to what's what. That's where the old phonetics come in. Oh, I've got a 5x9 plus from our good friend 2E1 GFL Dennis. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. Right, no problem. That does put me at the bottom of the list. Okay, we'll do the usual. You know what to do, folks. If you'd like to join in, please give your name, call sign and location, preferably slowly, phonetically, and twice. And then we'll get you on the list. This is MX0WNN. Please come now. Okay, this is MX0WNN. Probably going to be having an early bath at this rate. Right, okay. Anybody else like to come for the Wednesday Night Net? We don't bite, folks. We really don't bite. We might even give you a 5-9 plus 60 if you're good. Anybody who want to come, please come now with your name, call sign, location. This is MX0WNN.
Evening. King America 3, Boston, Mary Sugar. King America 3, Boston, Mary Sugar. Southeastern Pennsylvania, USA.
KA3BMS. This is MX0WNN. Good evening, Hank. Your dulcet tones there. You're sounding good. You're going to get a 5-9 plus 60 off me. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what my rig is telling me. No, you're sounding absolutely cracking there, Hank. However you're coming in is doing the job. So, Hank, I hope you're doing well. And nice to have you on as ever. And yeah, what's the? How are you doing with the old signal reports? Do you always give them? Do you mind when somebody gives you a 5x1, or are you just quite happy they've given you a report and it's honest? Or yeah, have you got any interesting stories you want to share with us when somebody's maybe been a bit wound up because you've given them a quote honest report? Hank, over to you, and I hope you're doing well. KA3BMS from MX0WNN.
To you, and it's nice to hear you tonight. I have gotten reports, believe it or not, which were 5, 8, 7. C, Charlie, 587, Charlie. Do you know what that means? K3BMS.
Hank, I'll be absolutely honest. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo, as they say. Now, hopefully you'll understand what I mean by that. But I'm sure you're going to educate me. Go on there, Hank.
Excuse me for the differences between our cultures. Is that a yes or a no? Over.
Oh, sorry, Hank. I was pulling somebody's legs there. Don't have a Scooby-Doo means I don't have a clue. It's rhyming slang. So no, it means I don't know, Hank. So I'm looking for some explanation from you. But hey, we've taught you something new tonight. So yeah, when you say that locally, I don't have a Scooby-Doo, they'll probably look at you and go, what? But go on. Fill us in there, Hank. Give us the explanation about the 59C, please.
Well, it said 587C. 587C. 5 for readability. 8 for signal strength, and RST, tone for tone quality. Do you know why RST exactly would be given? Over.
MX0WNN returning. Yeah, the tone will be given to set the audio. Now, the bit that gets me is the C. The C. Go on, Hank. I got the once you sort of guided my brain down the right path. Been a long day at work today, Hank. I understood the 587. What's the C for Charlie at the end, please?
Well, you're 2/3 accurate. T for tone will be the quality of your CW tone. 58C, readability, signal, and tone. RST is 587C, will be sent in a CW contact. In this case, I received 587C because the crystal in my transmitter was not very good and created the oscillator created a chirp. Now go look up the definition, full definition of RST, and you will see that there are various levels of tone signal quality that you could send, and then suffix, in this case C Charlie, for chirp. In the days when the crystal controlled transmitters were used for ham radio, a lot of times hams made their own crystals. They would grind their own crystals using George Rouge and very lightly grit crocus cloth. So there you go. Obviously you've never operated CW KA3 BMS.
KA3 BMS from MX0WNN. I have to admit, Hank, I have operated CW once, way back, when we were doing our Morse appreciation. Now, when it's measured in words per minute, mine would not be measured in words per minute, Hank. Mine would be measured in words per hour if I was doing well, or words per month, probably. No, I'm not a CW operator. I don't profess to be one. I understand what it is. Would I like to have a go at it? Yes. Would I feel totally embarrassed by doing it? Oh, absolutely. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But no. I understand what you're saying, and the C for crystal, for chirp. And understand that. Yeah, it makes total sense. But an education, shall we say? So I'm always pleased. Go on, Hank. Back to you. KA3 BMS from MX0WNN.
Very sorry if I seem critical of you. I don't mean any disrespect, but I guess you're a sign of the times. And I've been a ham radio operator since 1978. September 15th will be my 46th anniversary of the call sign being issued to me. September 28th will be the 46th anniversary of the date in which I received my license in the mail. So, in those days, we needed to know Morse code, and it was an absolute requirement. So I was a very good CW operator. Had my speed up to 35 or 40 words a minute, and the maximum requirement was 20 words a minute. The requirement for my class license was 15. So I exceeded the requirement by effectively by 200, by doubling it. Thank you very much. Glad you learned a lesson, and don't you forget it. K3 BMS.
KA3 BMS from MX0WNN. Hey, Hank, not a problem at all. Hey, I'm just a young whippersnapper. I was born a year after you. Well, almost a year after you got your license. You can stick the birthday card in the mail for the 10th of September. So yeah, no, I've only been in the hobby for 4 years. So no, I've got plenty to learn. Let's put it that way. But I'm enjoying the learning, and I enjoy your overs, and I enjoy all the stuff you've got to add there, Hank. So thank you for the enlightenment. It is good, and hey, that's what it's all about here on the Wednesday Night Net. We all learn something new. So Hank, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. It's genuinely an enlightening over. Okay, Hank, I'll break with you if that's all right, and we'll ask, is there anybody else out there that would like to join in? If so, you know what to do. Please come now with your name, call sign, and location. This is MX0WNN.
K3BMS.
Okay, sorry folks, had to do with a little bit of QRM there and dealt with. Okay, this is MX0WNN returning. Is there anybody else out there that would like to join in the Wednesday Night Net? If not, please call now.
Mike 6, Romeo Golf Sierra, Mexico 6, Romeo Golf Sierra.
Golf, Mike 0, Uniform Bravo, GM 0, UUB, Graham here, Alloa, Central Scotland.
Okay, no problem at all. I've got two stations. I've got GM0UUB, Graham up in there in Alloa, Central Scotland. Hello, Graham. And I've got M6 RGS, Robert. They're in Newcastle, according to QRZ. Good evening, Robert. Okay, well, welcome to the net, Robert. This is MX0WNN, club call sign that we use for the Wednesday Night Net. We're here at 7:30 every Wednesday night. And my personal call sign is Mike 0, Uniform Kilo Bravo. M0 UKB. Name is Bruce, and yeah, we've been doing this for about 3+ years now, and enjoying it. Usually have a little topic. It's just a conversation starter, let's call it. Something amateur radio related. We're just talking tonight about call signs. Not call signs, no. Talking about signal reports. Do you like collecting them? Has anybody ever got offended because you haven't given them a 5.9 plus 20 dB over? Or because you give real reports or whatever. Anyway, over to you, Robert. Hope you're doing well. M6 RGS from MX0WNN.
MX0WNN or thereabouts. M6 RGS return. Yeah, evening there, Bruce. I'm just having a little bit of a play around with the old radio here and just going through the memory channels and adding a few and taking a few unused ones out. And it's currently pittling down with rain up here. It just turned into a monsoon out of the blue there. It went very black very suddenly, and the heavens opened, which isn't a bad thing for the old allotment gardens. But we've just been busy out cutting lawns, cutting hedges, and trying to get the allotment looking like an allotment instead of a jungle. With regard to your topic for the night, signal reports, radio reports. I always give an honest one. I never just give a 5 and 9, even if it is lesser than what they have given me. It does royally boil my urine when I'm on the digital modes. And one of the stations having a QSO is over-modulating, over-deviating so much excessively that you literally cannot make out a word that they are saying. Yet the other station, who's apparently having a QSO in 5.9 quality, will go back to them and say, oh, excellent audio, super radio 5. And to the point where I actually sold me ESO equipment for C4FM and Fusion, and it was on America Link. I got that sick of turning my volume up, down, for different stations who just hadn't bothered to check the audio when they set the system up for them. And then when people started coming back saying, oh, superb audio, and I'm like, well, bloody hell, I can't even make out what the poor bloke's saying, and you're saying he's Radio 5, you know, so, aye, that's about the top and bottom of radio reports with me. Back to you, Bruce, from M6RJS.
M6RGS from MX0WNN. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you hear it. Oh, your audio is amazing. Your audio is fantastic. But then you're listening. Somebody else is listening and going, I can't understand the word of what they're saying. It's not an accent. It's not because they're a Scouser and you're a Geordie or whatever, if that makes sense. No, it's because the audio's pants. I think that's the only way to describe it. But somebody's too frightened to tell them you're over-deviating, or you're really, really quiet, or whatever it might be, or you've got a horrendous hum, or whatever it might be. Yeah, you get a lot of people saying, oh, yeah. The Mutual Back Patting Association, let's call it, of It's Wonderful. Does it make people happy? I suppose it makes them happy. Does it help them? Being honest, I don't think it does, because at some point somebody will tell them their audio is rubbish, and then there could be, shall we say, a little meeting of minds, let's call it. I think it's probably the politest way to put it. So, yeah, I'd rather know sooner than later that my audio wasn't great, and then I could deal with it. Back to you, Robert. M6RGS from MX0WNN.
M6RJS, just with a quick response there. Yeah, I think a lot of people can't be bothered to get into the nitty-gritty of trying to explain, or they're concerned in case the other station comes back with the old, well, 2 seconds while I just adjust this, is this any better, is that any better? And then the other ones, well, they just didn't want to offend people really, did they? But anyways, there we are, Bruce. I'm using an Icom 5100 at the moment, and I am very much aware that I have a hum, and it's actually the fan on the back of the radio. Slightly annoying because it's not the standard fan, it's not the standard jet turbine when the almighty whoosh noise. I paid for what was meant to be an upmarket fan. The common one that people replace them with, quite dear for what it was. But as soon as that fan starts to turn, that's where the whirring noise is coming from. Yet if I stick my finger in the back of the fan just to stop it momentarily, the audio is crystal clear. But I do have that little whirring noise, and it's because of the fan on the radio. I'm going to have to get it looked at because it's starting to actually give us a bit of a gripe when people keep coming back to you. No, you've got a bit of a hum. Yes, thank you. Anyways, I'll put it back to you there, and I'm going to stand by and monitor here. Thanks for letting us come in and have a little bit of a rag. M6RJS standing by.
MX0WNN returning. Well, I have to admit, you had to tell me there was a hum, if you know what I mean. Once you did, I kind of just picked it up there, Robert. But it's not that bad. Genuinely not that bad. I've heard of a heck of a lot worse. Let's put it that way. So I really wouldn't grumble too much, if you know what I mean. But I know when you've got something like that, it just kind of niggles at yourself, if you know what I mean, as much as anything else. But no, it wasn't bad at all. I've worked a lot worse, and I wouldn't have known unless you'd have said. So seriously, it's not that bad. But pleasure to have you on, Robert. And hey, we're here every Wednesday night. I see you coming through GB3 CD. There's loads of nets and bits and pieces on. Too many to mention, all of them, but some cracking ones. There's Keith M7 BYD. He does a new hams net on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock. That's fantastic. They're all fantastic, by the way. There's Graham GM0UUB, who's following you. He runs a cracking net 9 o'clock on a Friday night. Great rag tune net, always fun. I'm sure Graham will tell you a bit more about it, and it's absolutely spot on. So there's a couple just for starters, and there's lots of other ones as well. Have a look on the website, extendedfreedom.network, or check us out on Facebook. Not a problem at all. Right, okay. 7-3 to you there, Robert, and pleasure to have you on. Feel free to come in whenever you want. Okay, that puts us to Graham. That's GM0UUB. Good evening, Graham, and I hope you're doing well. Over to you, sir.
MX0WNN, this is GM0UUB. Just newly blew my nose there, so hopefully I'll be okay. A little bit of hay fever today, even though we've had lots and lots of rain. But this evening it's kind of dried up here, and there's a wee breeze, and yeah, it's just that time of night when it kind of hits the eyes and the nose. But never mind. And yeah, well, great topic. I've managed to listen to most of it. I've been a wee bit distracted by things, just here and there, just tidying things up around here. But great comments. And yeah, some people get really kind of riled up about all the signal reports and everything else. And but well, there you go. Personally, I have always given honest signal reports, and very much appreciated honest signal reports back. We are amateur radio operators. I think at the end of the day, we're meant to be kind of experimenting. We might try something different, a different radio, a different mode, go through a different repeater, different whatever, different antennas, and we need the reports to find out what works better than other things. And if people just don't want to offend you and give you 5-9 all the time, then it's not really helpful in the hobby. So really, I just say to everybody, just be absolutely honest. If I've got a hum, I need to know. And I do take regular visits for myself across onto the digital and the analog parrot functions there, just to have a listen. But it's always more appreciated as well, just to get a kind of on-air report. It's I think it's always good to know that. But yeah, it's it's just the way it is. But I think part of your discussion earlier was which part of the the RSD or the report is the most important to you, and to me it definitely is the R. It's the readability, and I want to know that people can actually copy me and and everything else. So yeah, there we go. Readability. That's the main thing for me. And if I've got any trouble getting being heard, I'd like to know. I'll just take a pip and a quick story. Yeah, and I also heard you talking about accents and everything there as well. And I do remember some years ago, I think it was probably 2018, these things do kind of stick with you. And I was a regular checker in there to the Alaska Morning Net. And I don't think I had the All-Star. I didn't have the All-Star at that time, so I must have been using Echolink probably. But anyway, it doesn't really matter how I was connecting in. But, different net control operators in the Alaska Morning Net, 7 days a week, different net control operators every day. And, most work fine with me. I would go on, we'd have a bit of a rag chew and a blether. But every Tuesday, the net control operator, I was thinking, what's wrong with my radio on a Tuesday? So anyway, one Tuesday, it was quite early on, me checking in. And he's still the Tuesday net control, K5CAB, Craig, great guy. And I remember waffling on. I think I maybe took a couple of pips and everything else. And he told a story and whatever. And he says, you know, Graham, it's great to have you on the net. He says, but I didn't understand a word of that. And then I realised I was just speaking far, far too fast with my Scottish accent for poor Craig to understand. And anyway, whenever I've spoken to him since, I've sometimes reminded him of that and thanked him. Because I definitely, when I'm on the radio, believe it or not, do try and deliberately slow down my rate of speaking just to make sure I'm understood. So yeah, readability, being understood to the people you're talking to and communicating with is an important thing. And thanks again, Craig, K5CAB, to slow me down, slow me down. Back to Ned from GM0 UUB.
GM0 UUB from MX0WNN. I like that one, Graham. Yeah, like you say, accent and speed can be one that can confuse, shall we say, or make it a little bit awkward to get it right at times. So no, can totally understand that, and a wise lesson to be learned from a wise man there, Graham. Okay, I shall put it back to you one more time, and then I think we're probably going to shut it down, actually, because we've not done too bad. It's been a nice ebb and flow tonight. Graham, GM0 UUB, over to you, and hope Helen and everybody's doing well up your neck of the woods. From MX0 WNN.
That's a 10-4, good buddy. There's always one, Bruce. That's what they say in every circle. There's always one. GM0 UUB returning for a final. Well, thank you so much, Bruce, for doing the night, and thanks for everybody checking in there. Great to hear everybody's comments and everything there. Absolutely welcome. No, not too much more there, Bruce. We're doing fine. Helen's fine. Waving a wee hand from the royal box there, but no, we're doing fine, just waiting for better weather. So if there's anything you can do there, Bruce, because quite often the weather systems do come from the south and come travelling up here to the north. So, if you can do something just to kind of get rid of some clouds and slow the winds down and put some more kind of blue sky that then towards us, that'd be fantastic. Looking forward to getting the caravan out quite soon. So don't know if you've been out in your caravan yet this year. Maybe you have. But no, we're certainly looking forward to maybe even next week. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, Bruce, thanks, sir. And we'll no doubt talk to you again soon. MX0WNN, thank you for taking my check-in. This is GM0 UUB.
MX0WN return. Yeah, no problem at all, Graham. Hey, always happy to have everybody on there. Haven't had my caravan out yet. It's just been absolutely chocker. But no, I'm looking forward to getting out about it and doing a bit of stuff. So no problem at all, and glad Helen is doing well and waving a hand from the royal box. Okay, folks. Well, thank you everybody for checking in tonight to the Wednesday Night Net. Have appreciated it. It's been educational. It's been different, which is what we aim to do. I would like to say a big thank you to everybody that's connected up tonight, be it personal nodes, hotspots, gateways, repeaters, networks, etc., etc. But a bit of a shout out to a few networks that we regularly connect to. Of course, the IRN, who are connected 24/7 to the Extended Freedom Network. Thank you for your continued collaboration, assistance, help, and general all-round awesomeness. Also to the ANZEL network, you're awesome as well. To the Worldwide Ranchu Amateur Radio Network, DV Scotland Phoenix, obviously the Bishop Auckland Radio Amateurs Club. That's where it all began, folks. And to everybody else out there, there are numerous, so apologies if I've missed any off, but thank you very much to everybody out there. We do appreciate it, and also just to the general public for taking part, because without people, there wouldn't be net. Okay, at this point, I shall hang up the club call of MX0WNN. I shall take a pause and I shall come back as my personal self. Okay, this is Mike 0, Uniform Kilo Bravo returning. Right, it has been a pleasure to be net control again this week. Thank you for everything that everybody does, all the help and everybody out there. Thank you for everybody calling in. And let's say 7-3 until next week, when I'm sure we'll have another cracking topic of something else. I know Gary's been messaging me a few, so I shall read the messages, and I'm sure we'll come up with something interesting to talk about. Thank you, everybody. Take care, spread the word, and look forward to all the good nets that are to come. There are lots and lots and lots. Look out on the website, extendedfreedom.network, or check out the Facebook of Extended Freedom Network. Yeah, if not, just keep your radio on, and it will appear as if by magic. Okay, 7-3, everybody. Take care. This has been M0UKB, and stay safe and have fun. 7-3, everyone.